Hey, well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brothers-in-law. And on this channel, we discuss police-involved incidents that occur around the country, and we give our analysis on the actions of those police officers to see if their actions are what a reasonable officer would do. We also look at the actions of the citizens to see if they have followed our acronym of CALM, which stands for Comply, Answer Questions, Listen, and Move On, would their situation had turned out differently. Now, we know you may agree or disagree with us, and that's totally fine, but by the end of the video, it is our hope that you get a better understanding of how these incidents unfold. So if you're new to our channel, I was a former Virginia State Trooper for 7 years, and I'm a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer, 21 years. And my co-host, Mr. Mike Bradley.
Hey, what's going on? Good to be back. Good to have another week of a show to give out some good information. I'm Mike Bradley. I'm one of the co-hosts here, and I am a retired police officer, 26 years in Northern California, and I am a 6-year Army veteran too. So we got a good show lined up for you today. Got a couple of incidents to talk about. One that, well, actually both of them are very surprising, would have taken me off guard, you know what I'm saying? And we're going to talk about it and just nail down why there are some things that officers will have you do or not do just to stay safe. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about that and why that stuff happens like that.
Well, and not only that, and welcome Scott, Stacy. I go get ready to jump on here, and hopefully Tone will be on to join the conversation. But not only that, again, with these two videos that we have lined up. First of all, let me say I can only create the one thumbnail because I couldn't fit the other picture on it to elaborate that we'll be doing two videos tonight. But the primary one happened a couple weeks ago back in Fargo. Was it Utah? I think it was. Officers were ambushed, but this is why officers always are on guard or may be a little edgy at times, and you're wondering why. Okay, why is he being such an asshole, or why is she acting this way, or they asking you so many questions, because we sit back at the office after these incidents happen, and we talk about them. Hey,
yeah,
what would you have done, or this went right, that went wrong, and we talk about these things. And so it's always why we always say you have to keep your head on a swivel when you're out there, and these two incidents are exactly that. And the first one we talk about, like I said, happened shoot, I don't even have my it was last month in July, middle of July. They were working a traffic accident, and out of nowhere, this guy comes up and just starting shooting at police officers. And so, they weren't expecting that, right? And this is why I get so uptight when I always hear, news reporters say, or somebody say, routine traffic stop. Heck, even a car crash is not even routine. You know what I mean? Because you think something
definitely wasn't routine in this situation.
Right.
That's for sure.
Right. Totally wasn't routine in this one. I mean, because you could be working a crash and it's something just simple as exchanging information, and next thing you know, you're going hands-on with somebody. So that's why I never like when people say, hey, it was routine. No, nothing is ever routine. Only thing that is routine that we want to be routine is going home at the end of the shift.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
We got two lined up. Like I said, that's going to be the first one we talk about, and the second one we'll jump into that. But before we get into it, as always, if you're new to our channel, please go ahead and hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us. And hit that notification bell down at the bottom right so you stay up to date on our latest videos as we put one out every week. And also, too, if you have not headed over to our merch shop, please head over there to our webpage, merch shop at the Brothas-in-law .myspreadshop.com, and pick up a nice little t-shirt. Help support our channel, the Brothas-in-law, and help spread our message on staying calm, which stands for comply, answer questions, listen, and move on. how you should conduct yourself during a traffic stop. So, Mike, go ahead, set it up, my brother.
The first one is regular, traffic investigation. Your officers respond to a intersection or a roadway where a traffic collision had taken place. This was back in July, I believe it was, at a city called Fargo.
Fargo,
Fargo,
North
Dakota. So this is a traffic stop that Corey and I have done like these 1,000 times. You roll up on a collision and you start to take part in the traffic investigation, whether it's an info exchange or getting the information from both parties involved, things like that, position of the cars. Anyway, these officers are going about their regular duty of investigating this traffic stop, and something happens. And we're going to look at the video and see what happens.
Exactly what happens. Yeah. Let me get this off the screen here. And this is very short. It's about maybe 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes. So we'll just let it play and then we'll make our comments afterwards. And again, this is graphic, so please be advised.
Hey, Scott. Hey, Stacy. I see you.
Dotas. Central, we got shots fired. Central, we got shots fired. Central, we got a man with an AK-47. He's shooting at us. We're at Central, shots fired, shots fired. We got 3 officers down. 3 officers down. Send everybody. Stop moving! Stop moving! Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Fargo 534, 3 officers down. Drop the gun! 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 Send the gun!
Is he the only one?
He's the only one.
Wow. So you notice how the officer kept firing, folks, and rightfully so. That guy that the suspect that he shot was, if you notice, this is a perfect example of how people don't just give up after 1 or 2 bullets. You know what I'm saying? That guy, I don't know how many times he had been shot, but at that range, it's safe to say he was shot more than a couple of times. But he was still trying to maneuver his firearm to get another shot off at the officer. That's why the officer fired at him again. He was still, I don't know if you see that on the video on this part, if it's if everybody got a clear view of that. But he's still trying to maneuver his firearm to be able to get another shot off at the officer. So the threat still existed. You see what I'm saying? Even though he was down, the threat still existed. This guy was determined to take out somebody. What do you say, Gore?
No, 100%. This is the reason why you keep shooting until the threat is stopped. That's why you can't put a number on how many times an officer can shoot. Right, this guy is still moving. You don't think he's still, just because he's been shot now maybe 4 or 5 times already before he changed out mags. The guy is still trying to move. He's still a threat. Until that guy is done moving, I don't see any movement. I'm going to continue to assume that he is going to be a threat. And every time he moves, and every time he makes a gesture trying to use that weapon, I'm going to put more rounds in him until it's stopped. Again, this is why you cannot put a number on or make policy saying, oh, well, the officer shot way too many times. Do you think this was over? Do you think this was too many times the officer shot? What would have been a good number to stop shooting?
Yeah,
right?
And not only that, and we've talked about this before, Corey, is we don't count bullets when we shoot. This guy was on the ground. Does it look like that officer was counting the amount of rounds that he was firing? No, he was firing because that threat existed, and he kept firing. Now, and I agree with you, Scott. Good trained officer. The only thing I'm gonna be nitpicky here, and again, it's easy for me to sit here in the comforts of my own home and critique what this officer should have and should not have done. The only thing I would say in this situation is when the officer fired, he kept moving behind the car, presumably because that was the only cover he had, but he was maneuvering behind the car, which caused him to lose sight of the suspect on the ground. After I fired at you, I would hope that I'm going to try to maintain my sight picture on you, because if I got to shoot you again, I want to be able to see you 100% of the time. Now, I understand he was moving behind that car, probably because that was his only source of cover. And this guy on the ground was still trying to maneuver his firearm to shoot back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, if I had to nitpick and find something, what say you, Corey?
Yeah, I think you kind of left himself out there, because you, at this point, as an officer, you got to be thinking, is there another shooter anywhere? And you're leaving yourself out there exposed like that. I think for me, where he shot off his initial rounds at, when he was with the car that was in the left lane of travel that was involved in the crash, I think he could have stayed right where he was right there, because he had a straight line of shot to that individual when they were already down. And then, maybe moved up until that he got back up. And then, but, hey, when you're in that moment, it's a different story. It's easy, like you said, Mike, it's easy for us to sit here and Monday morning quarterback this.
Right.
But, and that's the whole thing with training folks. You got to run these types of scenarios through your head all the time as an officer. What they always tell you have to keep your head on a swivel. You have to practice these things. So it's the hope that if anything ever should happen, it's your hope that your training kicks in and you're able to do your job in a proper manner, the way you've been trained. And this is why, again, like I said in the opening, I don't like calling things routine, because there was nothing routine. These guys were not expecting to get ambushed like this. And and I wish I'd have pulled the numbers for this, but the amount of ambush attacks on police have gone up astronomically within the last couple of years of police officers just getting shot at out of nowhere. So I'm not going to sit here and say he could have stayed where he was, or he could have I think he should have I'm not gonna criticize him for what he thought he was doing in that moment. If it were me,
Right.
I would have stayed where I was. I would have made sure I had some cover, and not put myself out there.
Oh, you talking about when he moved away from the car that was in the roadway?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yes.
What you're saying.
Yeah. I would have stayed there,
Okay.
because that was your real cover.
I see what you're
That
saying.
car right there, not the car.
I was talking about
the car
moving around the suspect's car.
Right.
But right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that at that point, the car is your only cover. You know what I'm saying? 3 officers are down. Now, I do like how this officer engaged him, though. He didn't let the 3 officers that were down make him, oh shoot, I don't know what I'm going to do. He still thought I got 3 cops down already, but I need to engage this threat. Okay. And I like that. He did that. I think this guy did everything right, except for those little nitpicky things, but those aren't necessarily wrong. It's just something that I feel that I would have done. You know what I'm saying? Scott, let me hear, give us a comment and see what you say about that too. Hey, Delando, appreciate you joining us. You want to show it one more time, Corey?
Yeah, I can show it one more time for those just joining us. Gek says it's a real short video.
Yeah. Again, this is a collision. They were investigating a collision in the middle of their investigation. Now, this guy wasn't involved in the collision, the guy that was shooting, just so you know. He was just parked in the parking lot across the street. Take note of the car that's across the street in front of that building, in that parking lot.
Now, right there, you see on the sidewalk right there, those are 3 officers that got hit. And then there's where they have blurred out is, I believe, another citizen.
Yeah.
So you have this wide open element right here, and it's not much cover. These guys aren't even expecting what's about to happen. And so, and again, now you see why I get burnt up when I hear people say, oh, routine, everything. There was a routine traffic stop. No, nothing is routine, because we don't know what's going to happen from any given moment, from the time you mark on until the time you pull into your driveway. Anything can happen at any given time.
Yeah, I agree with you, Scott.
Dotas. Central, we got shots fired. Central, we got shots fired. Central, we got a man with an AK-47. He's shooting at us. We're at Central, shots fired, shots fired. We got 3 officers down. 3 officers down. Send everybody. Stop moving! Stop moving! Put your hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Hands up! Fargo 534, 3 officers down.
I see. So he got behind cover to reload his magazine. Okay.
Right.
Drop the gun!
All right.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun!
Hey, Mr.
Drop
Sailor,
the
I
gun!
see you on here.
Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! Drop the gun! 4.
The only one?
He's the only one.
And there you have it.
Yeah, just goes to show you, folks. As an officer out there on the street, you have to be ready for whatever. You never know what's going to come from the left, and you never would know what's going to come from the right. You know what I'm saying? And this officer handled himself very well. He engaged the threat, took the threat out. Okay. And I don't think any of those officers that were shot, I don't think any of them died. I think
One did.
One did. Okay.
Yeah, one did die.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's what makes this so heartbreaking. And then two, I think they fell short of saying this possibly should have been labeled as a terrorist attack based on the amount of weapons and ammunition that this individual had.
Yeah,
he had quite a bit of arsenal. So he was out to do what he was going to do. He was going to die that day, based on all the weapons and ammunition that they found on him in the car, and I think back wherever he lived. But I mean, it just goes to show that as an officer, I mean, you have to keep your head on a swivel, and this is why understand. This is why sometimes an officer can be a little edgy at times, or they're sitting there with their hand maybe on the weapon or whatever. These things happen all the time, and nobody wants to get into a shootout. And like you heard us say on here a lot, we want to be the ones to have the jump on you first. Before I want to be quick to the draw.
Yeah. I agree. You got to be ready. You got to be ready. And sometimes it takes you by surprise. And also, like I said, a good example is for citizens to look at this and they can see just because you got shot doesn't mean you completely out of the game. As this suspect showed you, right. This suspect likely was shot multiple times, is fair to say. Okay. But he was still able to try to maneuver his firearm and trying to get a shot off. You know what I'm saying? He was still doing that after he was shot and already on the ground. Okay. So this is why we go and we handcuff the suspect after we've shot them. Okay. That's one of the reasons why you do that. Okay. We train to handcuff someone who's down on the ground, and then you could do first aid after they're secure and that weapon is secure.
And that weapon, yeah. And this is why we again shoot until the threat is stopped. It's not shoot to kill. I'm just shooting until you stop. If in the event that leads to your death, then that's what it is.
That's what it is.
But the intention is to stop the threat. And so that's why again you can't make policy dictating how many rounds an officer can shoot at that individual. I'm going to shoot until the threat is stopped, and that's just how it's going to be. Because I don't want you seen how he was still a threat, moving around, still trying to grab the weapon and try to position himself to get a shot off after he already just shot three officers and fatally killing one. Yeah, I don't think I want you to try to get that weapon up and try to one shoot me or shoot anybody else. It's just there's a sad situation that transpired. The guy is dead and gone. The shooter, and the other officers are recovering. You want to check this out on your own later and dissect it more. I'll put the link down below after the show tonight. But the next one, Mike.
Now, this next one, I can't remember the details of where it happened or how long.
It was Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Now, this one, again, a very unsuspecting thing happened in this incident. So these officers, just to catch you up to speed, these officers responded to this location of a report of some kind of fight or argument between domestic violence or domestic incident between these two people. So they get to the place where this apparently happened, and they contact one of the parties involved, who happens to be a female, as she was sitting on the sofa. and let's just keep it right there.
And I just add to it that they were brother and sister. The sister,
yeah.
The sister, I believe, had attacked him, and then he actually called the police. The brother did, and so the hope here is to be able to show you, the difference in the amount of time an officer shoots, and so just keep that in mind based on what we just seen and what you're about to see now,
and also how anything can happen, which is why officers are very direct. And I need you to sit down. I need you to do this. I need you because we have to be ready for whatever. Okay. Right. So, and this is going to be a good example of that.
But can I tell my part?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
Oh, okay. So it was just really him telling everything. Just, I'm sorry, can you just not touch your gun or something? Just keep your hands.
It's actually on this holster. It's something that we do. It's nothing. It's not like we're gonna.
I'm asking you that.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just resting my hand. I'm not holding the gun. It's not even on the gun. I'm just holding it. Do me a favor. Put your hands behind your back, okay?
Bro, Rick, you shot fired. Hey, are you good?
Yeah.
She managed to stab him in the head, folks, just so you know what's going on here. That's what you see, blood dripping from his head.
Can I tell my part?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
Oh, okay. So it was just really him.
It's the other camera view.
Not,
yep.
Touch your gun or something. Just keep your hands.
It's actually on this holster. It's something that we do. It's nothing. It's not like
No, I'm asking you.
I'm gonna keep it here. I'm just resting my hand. I'm not holding my gun. It's not even on the gun. I'm just holding it on. Do me a favor. Put your hands behind your back, okay?
Wow.
Woo, that quick. I mean, there's a lot to say on this, folks. For those who may not have seen the video very clearly, this woman was sitting on the sofa. She was being interviewed about what happened between her and her brother. Then she noticed one of the officers was resting his hand on his pistol belt, which is likely where his firearm was, which is very common. Officers will just rest their hand on, usually on top of their gun or something, somewhere around there. It's not that we're trying to be threatening or anything. We just happen to rest our hands there. That's all. You know what I'm saying? Well, I think she was doing that to distract the officers. Okay. And then she got up. They knew they were going to arrest her. She got up. Okay. What they didn't realize is that she had a knife that was either sitting on the sofa.
It was in the cushion.
In the cushion.
Yeah.
She grabbed the knife and she was able to take a swing and stab the one officer in the head. Okay. Which is what you saw when that officer is you saw the blood dripping from his head into his hand. I think he was kind of shocked, like, I can't believe what just happened here, Court.
Yeah. It totally caught him off guard. And again, I was notorious for always, resting my hand on top of my weapon, not being a threat or whatever. But like I said, it was a way for me to make sure that I was always on guard for anything to pop to happen, that I can get my weapon out really quick and get it on target and be able to react if need be. This, again, domestics are one of the most dangerous call for services that an officer can go on, and you never know what's going to transpire inside that house, right? And it does not matter the appearance of the individual, whether it's an 85-year-old woman can be a threat, and no matter if if they're 10 or 12 years old, can be a threat.
I'm glad you said that. And I'm gonna just say it outright for all our viewers. Does she look like, when you saw that video and you saw her sitting on that sofa, did she look like she would have jumped up and actually stabbed the officer? Would you have thought that as an officer? To our viewers, I want to see some comments.
No, you would think that she couldn't, possibly
Move that
fast, right? But hey, guess what? There's a 455-pound young man playing college ball for TCU this Saturday. And everybody like, well, doggone, I ain't think nobody that big can move that fast. Hey, you can't underestimate nobody. That's another thing, as a law enforcement, you never underestimate anybody. I don't care how small or how big you are, or how
don't care if she a female. Okay,
or not.
That female can kill you just the same.
Yeah, I mean, and what we aren't able to see is how big the blade was. I mean, it got him pretty good because you can see the blood rushing down from his head. So she got him pretty good, and so. I think if you listen to the number of shots, I think he shot like 4 times. Bam, bam, bam. Yeah, I think it was like 4 times, maybe 5, right? And he was done. And so big difference between this and the first video we showed, right?
Yeah.
You shoot until she stops. Do you think one bullet would have stopped her? Probably not. I mean,
again. We ain't thinking about counting bullets, folks. You pulling that trigger, you're doing this, okay? You pulling that trigger as fast as you can until that threat stops. Is that 10 rounds? You know what? If your adrenaline is rushing, you could easily fire off 10 rounds real quick.
Before
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Because you're not counting, like you said, Mike, you're not counting. I mean, you should know as an officer, how many rounds you have in your magazine.
Yeah, that's it. You know how many rounds you got in your magazine. You know how many rounds are left.
Right, right. But you're not counting when you're shoot. Oh, where am I at? I'm at 7. Let me keep going. Bye. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It's like you said. This when this finger stops, that's however many rounds. I let, like they said, what movie was that? Doggone it, where he said this is my safety. Was that Full Metal Jacket?
That's right. And we actually train that way today.
Yeah,
the finger is your safety. That's your safety.
Yeah. So when that stops moving, I'm done. So however many times I pull that finger back on that trigger is Black Hawk down. There you go. Thanks,
yes.
Thanks, Scott. And that's it. That's how many times many rounds I'm getting out. So it's you can't put policy on how many times an officer can shoot. You can't sit back and say, okay, well, that was just now. In some instances, can you say a shot? Some of these shootings might were excessive.
I suppose you could argue it, but
you could argue it, but is that enough to convict somebody? I mean, because what shot killed in the first one or the 15th one?
Right. And the thing is, if I have to account for the amount of times I shot, I have to articulate why I shot, not why my partner shot. I have to articulate why I shot. Now, again, I'm not counting bullets. I'm pulling that trigger until that threat stops, period. You know what I'm saying? So I can, as officers, Corey, we can easily understand how 10 rounds could be fired in very, very little time. Okay? Very quickly. And another thing you said, domestic violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls that officers go on because everybody's emotions are high. Especially those that have gotten physical, okay? Emotions are running high. This is why it's very important for officers to come on the scene and control it. They have to control all parties involved, even all the parties that are not involved that are in that house. We got to control the scene. Now, here we go, Monday morning quarterbacking, Corey. Here go my nitpicking. I'm going to pull out my nitpick.
Go ahead.
This is one of the things, folks, why officers might number one, have you sit down because, you know, I can control you better sitting down than I can standing up. Okay. Number two, you got to check those cushions before you sit you down on the sofa. You know what I'm saying? You could have what if she had a gun in them cushions? Very, very reasonable. She could have had a gun in them cushions, and perhaps that would have been a shot and not a stab. You know what I'm saying? So you got to check those cushions and everything before you set someone down. Now, maybe she was sitting down before they came in there. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But you got to check. This is why an officer has to maintain control of that scene, and everybody involved or not involved, everybody in that house, I should say, of a domestic violence situation. Clearly, she wasn't trying to go to jail, and she was still up here. You know, she grabbed that knife from the cushion and stabbed the officer. So I don't know, you know, just goes to show you got to be ready for whatever.
Right. And that's another reason why, too, they'll ask, you know, who else is in the house. Right. Yes. And it's another reason why they may they'll canvass the area in which they're in. They're not going to go through the whole house, but at least within their area, within their view, they're going to make sure nobody's, you know, hiding behind the couch or inside a closet, things of that nature, because you don't know. You're walking into unknown territory as an officer when you go into a house. And it's another reason why we separate you.
Yep.
Right. We'll separate you. So to try to calm things down, to get his side of the story, to get her side of the story, then the officers will come back and collaborate, see what we have, and see who's going to get charged, if anybody's going to get charged. But I hated domestics. Even, you know, all of my domestics, believe it or not, always happen on the interstate. And
two people, husband and wife fighting in the car.
Yeah. And matter of fact, I was in a pursuit one time with a guy, and thank goodness the caller was riding behind him and giving our dispatch, you know, the location and everything where he was at, and I was able to catch up to him. But she was leaning out the window. He was pulling her back in. Every time he was pulling her back in, he was punching her in the head, all going down the interstate. And so ended up getting him stopped and handcuffed and everything, and took him to jail. But it happens, you know, and you don't know when you go into a house what's in there versus, you know, this happened to me on the interstate. But you still have to make sure the scene is safe and get them separated.
Yeah, I agree. Most of the domestic violence calls I've had in my career were at somebody's house or some facility or some building. You know what I'm saying? They usually at someone's house, and emotions are high, especially those times where you have a husband and wife who have some kind of court order issue or custody issue or something like that. You know, emotions are high. And like you said, Corey, we don't want somebody to come out the living room with a knife or a gun and try to hurt us. So that's why we're going to ask you, is anybody else in the house? This is why we have to control everybody in the house. Okay. And you got to be ready for whatever. You know what I'm saying? I would not expect this lady to jump up and try to stab me. I'm going to be honest. As an officer, even though I know you got to be ready for whatever, I would not have expected that woman to jump up and stab me in the head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I don't think anybody who would have been in the place of the officers would have been thinking that she would have got up and stabbed him like that. I mean, one, her being her size, two, you know, her being a female, right? We always typically think that, you know, females aren't really going to give us that much that much of a problem. But again, you never underestimate. You can never let your guard be down. Let's see, Scott's saying it. Yeah, in a confined space like that, you can't really keep that proverbial reactionary gap. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
You know what I'm
100%. So I mean, go ahead, Mike.
No, just saying, you know, something like that is you got to be ready for it, and And again, I hope that would this incident should show citizens why officers might have them do certain things, and they may not understand why they have you sit down. Why would they check the seat cushions before I sit down? You know what I'm saying? Or something like that. Or, you know, another thing, Corey, is the thought just escaped my mind. But yeah, you can never be too careful on those domestic violence. Now in California, if we go to a domestic violence call, and once we determine that a domestic violence did occur, we're required to arrest someone. So keep that in mind.
So you're required to just the aggressor.
Right. If one or both. If we feel both people need to be arrested, we'll arrest them both. You know what I'm saying? But the main responsibility is to find and try to determine the primary aggressor. You get both sides of the story. You try to figure out who you think the primary aggressor was, and somebody going to be arrested for sure once we determine that a domestic violence incident has in fact occurred.
Oh yeah. And same here. It's not required, but if you find the evidence there which supports, your decision, then yeah, somebody going to jail. If not both of you, and then we automatically issue a protection order.
See, now that's different. We may issue a protective order if they request one. Not always a requirement, although I'd have to do some checking. It might be now, but when I was an officer, the emergency restraining order was not a requirement to give them, but a lot of times they would request one, and we would feel the need to give one, especially if they live together and we feel that the other person needs to move out quickly. We'll give an emergency protective order in that situation. It may be a requirement, mandatory now, that you get one, but guaranteed somebody is going to be arrested and taken to jail.
Yeah, somebody definitely going to jail in the domestic, no doubt. Folks, we thank you all for watching us tonight. These very short videos tonight. Again, I'll put the link down in the description below for this one. Let us know what you think about these. Do you think, or how do I want to ask this question? Do you have a better understanding now of or reasoning enough to know now why an officer will shoot as many times as they feel necessary to stop or eliminate the threat? And it's just our hope that you get an understanding now that you cannot put a policy on that because that's that officer protecting his life, protecting other citizens' lives, and trying to stop the threat. So let us know what you think in the comments down below. Again, we thank you all for watching us tonight. If you're just joining us late, just hit the rewind button after this and watch it again. Smash that like button for us so it lets the algorithm know that this is a good video that everybody needs to see and learn something from, and everybody share it out to one person or two people for us so we get it out there in the atmosphere for others to see and gain recognition. Hey, Bubba Buck, what's up,
man?
Bubba
Buck, we see
good
you
seeing you again. So please, again, hit that like, share, and subscribe button for us, and we'll be back next week with another video. If you got one that you would like for us to see, hit us up over on Facebook. Send it to us via message, and we'll look at it and get it on the show. Go ahead, Mike. Send us.
And Delando, we saw the videos you sent us to. Yeah. We had these two lined up already, but keep sending those videos because we always looking for new material. Whether we want to show it or not, we'll decide. But I want to let you know we do see them. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, Stacy, Scott. Appreciate you guys coming on. Bubba Buck, you caught us a little late, but that's all right. You can come on and watch it. Mrs. Taylor, appreciate you coming on. And you guys have a good weekend. Stay safe out there. And remember, calm, comply, answer questions,
listen,
move on.
Yeah, enjoy your Labor Day weekend. Be safe.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Tell your people now. Tell your folks if they out here drinking and driving this weekend, they gonna stay in jail till Tuesday because the court's gonna be closed on Monday. So make sure they know, folks. All right, God bless you all. Take care, and we'll see you next week.
See you later.